Hey, did I mention there's a lot going on right now? There's a lot going on right now. So many tournaments are happening. So next weekend, while I am hosting a singles tournament, single day, single player tournament here in Denmark, the Dutch are hosting their Bolt Action Double Dutch. Let's go and check it out. Links for lists and everything will be in the description. There's a Facebook page where you can go and grab everything. There's also, I think, a link for a Dropbox where you can go and grab everything in the description. But, as per usual, I've made a PowerPoint about what I'm seeing. Now, the pack itself is a little unusual, and I'm seeing this a lot these days. So it's sort of an escalation style where you have some games that are at 700 points and some games that are at 1250 points. And you're playing double players, and there's a whole rule set for how you match up and all of that. Really cool. Go and check it out. It really is interesting. It's an interesting way of making sure that it matters what you do as a team. I really like it. So, and there's a lot of good players and interesting players going, like some of the top Dutch players. The Germans are coming over. There's a couple of Brits coming over. Nice. Anywho, meta. Right, here we go. From the top. This is the meta of BADD. Bolt Action Double Dutch 25. So, the nation spread. Germany, sort of. There's a couple of extra players that bring in Germany, but overall, the spread is huge and varied, and that is really cool. I think that's an effect of V3 that a lot of different nations are being played, though not as many minor nations as one would want. People are trying out Japan. Finland is back, of course, but not dominating. Germany's not dominating. The only nation that sort of is limping behind everyone else is the Soviets. And I know that one list is missing from the lists right now, and that will be an American one. I can say this with a fair amount of certainty because it will be Danny van der Rohe. When he brings his list, he plays Americans all the time, right? He more or less says that he is bringing his starter box army. He's been playing that for a long time, and he does it so well. So no reason to change that up too much. But his list is not in yet, so yeah. What about the order dice spread? Well, I had to make two order dice spreads here because there's one for 700 points and one for 1250 points. But you can see them both here. So for 700 points, there's like one player bringing 6 order dice, which is so low. It is so low that it's going to be difficult because some players, one is bringing 12, but a lot are bringing 9, 10, 11 order dice. So that one player is going to struggle, but he is bringing a Death Star build to a 700 point game. So I'm guessing that his opponent will be having a lot of trouble stopping his Death Star. Is it enough? I don't know. I don't think so, but we shall see. The average for 700 points for Double Dutch is 9.9 order dice in the list. So around the 10 order dice mark, which I think we should take note of. I think perhaps that's where 700 points should be-ish. That's around the area. For 1250, the Dutch are a little lower than I had expected. Although most people are bringing 18 order dice. Some people, the spread is between 15 and 19. And you could even get a couple of extra order dice if you took special units, because for this event they've even made special units. Some of them are really cool and you should take them. Like there's a medic, there's a field hospital. You can take pin-up girls to run around and inspire your troops. Really cool little effect, and they boost your order dice. But not a lot of players have taken advantage of this. I don't know why. I think it's a cool idea and very, very thematic for this tournament. But even though you could take those extra order dice, the order dice count here is a little lower than what we have for the other tournaments that I've covered so far. Both the Winter War tournament that I'm hosting next weekend, simultaneous with the BADD. Also a little lower than Beachhead, also a little lower than Warzone Atlanta. Does it signify anything? I don't know. Maybe not. But it's something to be aware of and keep an eye on anyway, because the average here is 17.2, whereas Warzone Atlanta and Beachhead was around the 18 order dice mark. So, what about the army builds? Well, what am I seeing? I'm seeing armor in every list. Everyone is bringing armor. Potentially, we're going to have to think about limiting armor, because it's clear you if you want to win games, you have to bring armor. It's what we're seeing right now. I have yet to see the results from Warzone Atlanta. That may signify something once they come in, because we do have some very experienced players trying out non-armor lists, but we don't know anything yet. At least for Bold Ash and Double Dutch, armor is everywhere, and so is AA guns. A lot of people are taking that artillery battery with a couple of AA guns, maybe a single multi-rocket launcher. It's pretty much what you take if you want to take an artillery battery. 35 points is just so cheap, right? So cheap for something that's a very, very good ambush unit. I'm also seeing a lot of camping infantry. So infantry that, maybe regulars with LMGs sitting back, shooting. That's the most common infantry to take now. I'm also seeing a lot of people utilize mortar tricks, where you buy spotters for medium mortars, and then you have light mortars or something else, using those because they're also regular. So that's the trick, and I'm seeing a couple of people do that. Also, I'm seeing a lot of people bringing like heavy mortars and stuff. So yeah, and of course observers, but they are not everywhere. But a lot of people are bringing observers, both air observers and artillery observers, and some people even bringing them in armies where they don't actually get the benefit of having 2 shots or whatever. Extra bonuses to those air observers, but they're still being brought, which is interesting. What is rarer but still present is motorized or mechanized troops. There are a few soft skin transports, but not many. There are a few, especially white scout cars, but not many. So some people are still playing around with that. Also a couple of Death Stars, again, not many, but some. And a couple of players, like 2 or 3 players, are playing around with barbecue. One player has a really cool finish list with a lot of captured Soviet BA-20s. So that's still in there somewhere in the mix, but it's not like a lot of players, and we shall see how good it is. My predictions. I think that pending on Danny's list and how he and Pim, who's teamed up, will do, I think perhaps we're looking for the winner in one of these 3 pairs. So Manuel, of course, you have to count him in. He has a very unusual Italian list. I love it, Manuel, if you're watching this. So good. So interesting and so different. Very much up your alley. Like, I've seen you play stuff like this before, and it's really cool. He has lots of armor. And Thomas is bringing his fins. He's also played these quite extensively this last half year. He knows what he's doing. these two, they should always be in the calculation for top placements. Manuel is a multiple world champion. Thomas is a very experienced player. They can do well. Then we have Martin and Sam. I don't actually know both these players. I think I've met Martin, but there are a couple of Martins, so I may be confusing people here. Who's bringing very high order dice Americans and Finns also, and both of them are doing a little bit of barbecuing. So here we have that Finnish list with the BA20s, for instance. Very cool lists, very powerful. I'm not sure that the barbecuing trick will be enough to bring them to the podium, but it could potentially. And then we have Alan and Paul from the UK. Medium order dice lists, so they're not especially high. But trying out Japan with a lot of veterans, and the UK, and basically they're changing up their lists quite a lot. There's like every trick in the book, and they're not doing the same thing, these two players either. So for Manuel and Thomas, they're basically doing the same thing. Lots of armor, high order dice. Martin and Sam, high order dice, barbecue. But Alan and Paul, they're going in different directions, and at some point I may just pick out a couple of these lists and show to you, do another video if I have the time. So many things to cover. But like, go and check out their lists. They're really cool. My main takeaways for the Bold Action Double Dutch is that, again, there is the metas forming. I'm seeing this a lot. We have a lot of small units, multiple small units, light mortars, anti-tank rifles, 5-man infantry units. Happens everywhere. Camping infantry is a thing now. It's a fixture. Most people are bringing this. Like 5 to 6 regulars with LMGs, 1 or 2, depending on how many you can access and how many points you have. Bombardment is also still a thing. A company commander or a platoon commander and a couple of multi-rocket launchers is a thing. Not everyone is bringing them. It's actually kind of rare here, but we're seeing this again at the Bold Action Double Dutch. And then light tanks with autocannons. So many light tanks with autocannons. Very, very common. The Stuart is making a comeback as well. So, yeah, light tanks. If Warlord Games tried to stop the light tanks from rolling, they definitely did not succeed. And then, of course, the mortar trick. Still, people are also testing out Death Stars, and mechanized, motorized, and, of course, Manuel's very interesting, inexperienced armor platoons. Yeah, he's tried this before. Not massively successful, but I think there's something there because he can take so much armor. It's going to be difficult to stop him. So thank you so much, Pim, for sending me all the info and all the links, and I'll get back to you with those lists and the results once we have them. Cheers.